So here we are again, back by popular and festive demand. As part of my daughter Gemma's ruthless and relentless pursuit of happiness, um, we were talking the last time she visited about the nature of happiness and about how one might consider happiness and talk about happiness and aspire to happiness. And as so often is the case with me, a lyric bubbled to the surface. And the lyric was, happiness is not something I ever learnt to do. And it's probably not entirely true of me. I tend to laugh quite a lot, and I suspect that I have the luxury of having lived mostly a somewhat happy life. However, in the spirit of this endeavour that she has launched upon, here is my contribution to her discussions and consideration of happiness. It's a Marillion song called An Accidental Man. And we're going to talk about the lyrics and about what it is to be happy and what it is to be possibly a man.
I was taught from much too young to never give myself away. Yes, I was taught for every secret there's a price you have to pay. An accident of gender, an accident of birth that holds me to this point of view, this time and place on earth, this time and place on earth.
So, Steve Hogarth, interesting guy. We made a music video many years ago for a song, and the theme of the music video was touring with the band. And we opened with possibly the definitive shot of Steve Hogarth, which was him dressed, I think, all in black, getting onto the all-black tour bus, towing behind him his pink Samsonite case. And in the bottom of the bus at the time touring with us was his pink Fender Stratocaster, pink Paisley Fender Stratocaster. Here he is looking at this accident that is gender. This accident that is not just gender, but sexuality. And this accident that is to be born in this place and time, which is all to say how much of how we view the world, how we see the world, how we approach and attack the world is defined for us by these accidents of gender and accidents of birth and accidents of time. If I were born a man 500 years ago, I wouldn't see the world as I see it today. I wouldn't hold the views I hold today. If I were born a woman 5 minutes ago, I wouldn't hold the views I hold today. I wouldn't see the world the way I see it. And yet we all of us define ourselves by these things that we think we have helped to define. We define ourselves by these accidents. We let these accidents lock us into being who we are. And Mr. Hogarth, bless him, with his pink Samsonite, challenges that.
Holds me to this point of view, this time and place on earth, this time and place on earth. You ask me how I'm feeling, but I only wish you knew how hard it is for me to share
So here we go. You ask me how I'm feeling. I only wish I knew how hard it is for me to share. I only wish you knew how hard it is for me to share these kind of things with you. It's not that I don't love you. It's just I can't connect because I was taught from much too young to shine and not reflect. Now, come on. Isn't that an incredible, condensed expression of what it is to be specifically an English man of a certain age from a certain time? The man who was... I was talking yesterday, I think, to my wife about how the passion that I have for my job, the passion that I have for this and other bands, the passion that I have for the things about which I am passionate, from poker to lyrics to films and television to the thing I do on a daily basis, is frowned upon. It's frowned upon in England, because you're not allowed to be too passionate about anything. If you're too passionate about anything, you're a weirdo. And we know what we do with weirdos. We kill what we don't understand, said a lyric from Neil Peart. The only thing we're allowed to be passionate about is football. In fact, if you're not passionate about football, which I am not, you're also a weirdo. It's the only place we're given permission to express passion and real raw emotion. So right here, he defines what it is to be an Englishman. And this last line, this perfectly poised line: I was taught from much too young to shine and not reflect. It's a play on words. Shine and not reflect. We think immediately about a mirror, but reflect in the context of to shine and not think too deeply. To not examine yourself too deeply, to not stir up the bed of the river, to use another Steve Hogarth lyric. This is what it is to be a man in this male culture. And yet we're an accidental man, a matter of a single chromosome, if my very limited biology education remembers correctly. I'm an accidental man, and yet so much of how I live, so much of how I interact with other people, so much of how I view the world is defined by that accident.
'Cause I was taught from much too young to shine and not reflect. I'm an accidental man. I'm an accidental man. I'm an accidental man. You ask me if I'm happy. I only wish I knew. 'Cause happiness is not something that I ever learned to do. It's not that I'm complaining, it's all the same to me. If everything that happens accidentally, I'm an accidental man.
So there you go. That's why I got to this song in a discussion of happiness and jumped so quickly to a discussion of gender and a discussion of masculinity, toxic and otherwise. But I think also in the key to this is the counterpoint to it. Just because the accident of my birth says that I'm not supposed to be effusive and passionate and express my feelings and weep at the sad parts of movies and weep at the happy parts of movies and weep at the end of sitcoms, doesn't mean I can't. Just because I'm supposed to act in a certain way as defined by the accident of my birth, the accident of my birth in this time and place and gender and culture and continent, doesn't mean I'm not allowed to see the world with the kind of empathy that allows me to understand what it is to not be a man, and to not be white, and to not be European, and to not be wealthy or poor. The one thing I remember trying to teach my kids in the 3 or 4 minutes a week that I saw them, because I am nothing if not a man of my generation and a hardworking filmmaker, the one thing I remember trying to teach them was that the most important emotion you can have, or at least the most important words you can know and try to live up to, was not love, wasn't kindness, it wasn't generosity, because all of those are folded into this word. It was empathy. It was that requirement or that request that they try and have empathy for other people, to see through other people's eyes, to live other people's accidents. And I'm proud to announce that both of my children shame me all the time in the massive empathy they show and the number of times they slap me down when I'm forgetting to live up to the thing that I told them they must. That makes me very, very happy.
I was taught forever secret. There's a price you have to pay. I was taught from much too young to never give myself away. I was born to work the causes. I was born to take the reins. I was taught from much too young to never give myself away.
It's such a sin to stomp all over Mark Kelly's widdly widdly keyboard solo. But we're back at toxic masculinity. We're back at privilege. We're back at assumption of authority. All of those things that come as a result of the accident of your birth, if you were born to be me and Boris Johnson and Elon Musk, the lunatic. Remind me to tell you the short story about Elon Musk and the poor bastard he sent in a car to Mars, with the understanding that happiness almost certainly comes from breaking your coding. It almost certainly comes from stepping outside the expectation that every accident that made you who you are placed upon your shoulders, to learning how not to keep secrets and to tell the truth, to learning that you can give yourself away and not be diminished by it, that you can surrender authority to other people, break the code, break the programming, talk to people on the tube, be nice to strangers, say thank you to the poor bastard serving you in the supermarket. Try not to be the thing that your accidental birth says you must be, and be the best version of yourself, and the best possible version of other people. I think that would make the world a happier place, and surely in a happier world, you'd be happier in it, right? Mark Kelly, Widdly, Widdly, Widdly.
The race, I was taught from much too young to never give myself away.
I become aware of the fact that here I am, wigging out to the most, to the whitest possible male music, prog rock, Hammond organ solos. I could not be more living the accident of my birth right now. And you know what? I ain't ashamed, because I did it happily. It bears repeating, this last lyric. An accident of gender, an accident of birth that holds me to this point of view, this time and place on earth. Try to understand, if I don't say all I can, a stranger to myself I am. I guess apart from empathy, the other thing I've always believed is self-awareness ultimately leads to contentment, or at the very least, the more self-aware you can become, the more self-correcting you can be. So you don't need your kids to remind you not to be an arsehole. And when you are, try and make up for it. There's happiness in that too. This was Marillion, Accidental Man, and some random ponderings on the nature of what it is to be accidental and a man. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching if you did. Maybe I'll see you again. Until then, keep the faith.